Animal charities say there's been a big increase in the number of pets abandoned over Christmas and the New Year.
Yes, Battersea Dogs and Cats Home in London says it's unable to cope with the numbers of pets arriving, and for the first time it's having to put animals on a waiting list until it can find a space.
It's been a rough start to the year for these dogs. Lost, abandoned and unwanted, they've found themselves in a dog's home. Across the UK, animal charities have reported a big rise in the numbers of abandoned animals that they've had to deal with. Battersea Dogs and Cats Home has been taking in stray and unwanted animals for 150 years. The difference is now the sheer numbers of animals it has to deal with means it's full to capacity and there's simply no room for new arrivals.
This is the first time that we've actually put a waiting list in place for local authorities. So in past, we would probably be able to take those dogs, but now we are so full that we're having to actually ask them to hold those dogs locally before they can come into the home. So yeah, we're seeing a big increase here.
They have room for 600 dogs and 200 cats here. But a surge in new arrivals and the fact that they've rehomed far fewer animals than normal so far this month has meant demand for space is acute.
The snow has meant they haven't been able to rehouse as many dogs as normal here, and so Battersea Dogs and Cats Home is full to capacity. There's a waiting list just to get in here. And those who don't find places are kept in animal welfare centres like this local authority one in Lewisham, which are only designed to keep animals for a very short time.
Hello, Boo. Come on. All right. Good girl.
2 years ago, the law changed, so local authorities, not the police, have responsibility for strays.
This is Crystal. She was a stray that was found.
This centre is only supposed to be for holding strays for a short time before they're moved to centres for rehoming.
We've had her for a couple of days now. We failed to contact the owner, so ideally we'd like her to go to Battersea. But obviously Battersea are very short of space at the minute and under great pressure, so we're having to keep her here longer until they've actually got space for her.
Why are you seeing more dogs?
We've definitely seen an increase. We think partly it is obviously the recession that's had an impact in so many different areas, but also we think it's the type of dog. We're seeing more and more bull breeds coming in. People, you know, they're quite boisterous. As you can see, she's lovely, but she's quite boisterous. People aren't getting them trained, and they just need a really good owner. And if you're not going to put the time and effort in, unfortunately that's what people aren't doing. They're taking the easy option and letting them stray.
Yeah. Animal charities believe they'll see even more animals being abandoned in the next few months, as some owners find the cute puppies and kittens bought at Christmas become unmanageable and expensive. In the meantime, there are plenty of cats and dogs desperate for a loving home. Keith Doyle, BBC News.
Well, you saw Kay Foley in that report. She's an animal welfare officer with Lewisham Council, and she joins us now. Good morning to you. Now, it was Crystal who you were with then.
Yeah.
Just talk us through what will happen next to Crystal, and what's the prospects for the dog?
Well, fortunately, Crystal is in our kennels and she will stay there until Battersea have space for them. We're quite fortunate that we have Battersea in London to provide space for our dogs, but we're having to keep them a little bit longer because of the shortage of space they have.
And what happened? What's the long term? I mean, so she goes to Battersea.
Yep.
And then if no one takes her from there, what happens?
She'll be rehomed. She's a lovely dog with a good temperament, and they will keep her until the right person comes along to rehome her.
With this increase in the number of dogs being dumped this Christmas and New Year, what proportion do you think will actually have to be put down?
I can't comment for what other organisations or local authorities do, but certainly in Lewisham, as long as the dog is healthy and suitable for rehoming, we will kennel it until the right home becomes available.
And are there certain types of dogs that find it hard to be rehomed? Because we know that there are certain types of dogs which are forming sort of the bulk of those being dumped, these kind of so-called status dogs.
I think obviously because of some of the stereotypes surrounding certain dogs, and possibly because people don't necessarily want them now, I think the bull breeds are having a harder time trying to find a home. But they do make fantastic family pets with the right families.
Yes, I mean, it's interesting. If you go on there's like Battersea Dogs Home site, you will see many of those kind of breeds. I mean, is it that you sort of mentioned that a second ago? Is it a problem? I mean, do you recommend a breed like that goes into a family situation, or does it entirely depend on the character of the dog?
It depends on the character of the dog and the family. And what we would urge anybody is to do is, if you are thinking of getting a dog, research the breed and look at a rescue centre and make sure that the dog you're getting is the right dog for you. And if in any doubt, there are experts available at places like Battersea that will give you the opinion on whether they think that's the best dog for you.
I mean, I don't know how much you know about the backgrounds of these dogs, but are you getting many of the banned breeds in?
We have a good working relationship with the police. We have a bark project in Lewisham, so if we have anything that we suspect may be a banned breed, we contact them straight away and they deal with it.
And does that happen on occasions?
It does occasionally, yes, but like I said, the police deal with it very quickly and professionally, and it gets sorted out quite quickly.
And I guess you clearly deal with the practical end of this. You're trying to look after dogs, but you must sometimes despair a little. I mean, of people who do this. I mean, is there a type? Are there people who are doing this more often? Why is this happening now worse than it did before?
I think obviously the recession has had an impact, but I think partly a dog has now become a status symbol, particularly a bull breed dog, and people are getting them and not putting the time and effort into training them, and then perhaps when they get a little bit too boisterous, they don't really know how to handle them. Rather than kind of seeking expertise and advice, they are just unfortunately letting them stray or handing them into animal charities.
All right, well, Kay, thanks very much indeed for your time.
Thank you.
I know that you've been told you're not allowed to take them home
No,
by
I'm
your
not.
other half, yeah. Although it must be tempting at times.
It is.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, watching Breakfast. We're with you until 10 o'clock this morning on BBC One.